Hello and welcome to Crucible of Worlds for more dedicated legacy action. Today at the request of a donor we are trying a bit more Pox out, but we're trying a bit of a weird brew of Pox. We're just trying to explore the space of Pox in as many different directions as we can, and today's direction is Poxwalkers in Pox. So, what is a Pox deck? Well, you have Smallpox where each player loses a life, discards a card, sacrifices a creature, and sacrifices a land. So this is going to drain a lot of resources out of a game of Magic. We also have Pox, which is the same, but a third of their life, a third of their cards, a third of their creatures, a third of their lands, and it's all rounded up. So we're trying to break the parity of these cards by playing stuff that we don't care that we discard. And Poxwalkers fits the bill quite nicely. We also have Liliana, which can do that as well. So in order to play Poxwalkers, we need to cast cards from our graveyard. So we've got a few different ways of doing that. We have Bloodghast, which when it jumps back from the graveyard with a landfall trigger, we can then sacrifice it to a Cabal Therapy, and then we're casting the Cabal Therapy, which brings back the Poxwalkers. You can then sacrifice the Poxwalkers to Cabal Therapy, and it automatically comes back. So every Cabal Therapy you have is just online once you get Poxwalkers in play. We have Skyclave Shade. So when we play a land, the Skyclave Shade gets the ability that we can cast it from our graveyard until end of turn. You can also cast a Kicker. That doesn't come up very often, but this is just a 3/1 attacker. And the last card that we have that we're going to be using to bring stuff back is Rotting Reunion. So this is 1 mana instant, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard, create a 2/2 Decayed Zombie. Decayed Zombies can't block and they get sacrificed at the end of combat when they do attack. Exiling a card from a graveyard is actually a pretty good thing to do right now. Cling to Dust is a card that sees a reasonable amount of play right now. This is obviously a lower to the ground one that's a little bit more aggressive, and the token we get from it can be used to do Cabal Therapy stuff as well. And the fact is, this has flashback, so this is going to be a spell that we can cast from our graveyard for 2 mana that brings back our Poxwalkers, and we can start ripping. Something that I'm hoping is going to bring this entire deck together is Ripples of Undeath. So this is a 2 mana enchantment, beginning of your first main phase. You mill 3, and then you can pay 1 and 3 life to put one of those 3 cards into your hand. So this is going to give us some card advantage sometimes, but it's also just going to be fueling our graveyard. So hopefully, we're going to be flipping over stuff that we're more than happy to see go to the graveyard, you know, like our Bloodghast, our Skyclave Shades, Cabal Therapies, Poxwalkers, Rotting Reunions, plenty of things. But then if we find something that we definitely want, and that we select from it, then we can do that. So it's just mainly going to just be milling us 3, but occasionally we're going to be, okay, I'm going to snap up that Smallpox we need now, or I need a Thoughtseize to check my opponent's hand, or whatever. So it should come together quite nicely. We have a one-off Crucible of Worlds. This is just going to allow us to rebuy things like our Wasteland, as well as Cabal Pit and our Mishra's Factory. Thoughtseize, just probably the best black spell going. Real good. Always happy to have that in the deck. We have 4 Urborg, so we can try and make sure that our Mishra's Factories will be tapping for the appropriate mana. And because we are happy to discard a bunch of stuff, it doesn't matter if we get flooded with Urborgs in our hand. I am not playing Urza Saga today. Instead, we are running Hive of the Eye Tyrant. So I want to have more black mana for our deck because we're trying to run a deck that doesn't have Dark Ritual, which is one of the downsides of trying to fit all of this beef into our deck. But the reason we're trying to fit all of these creatures in the deck is that the Smallpox decks can often struggle with trying to actually finish the game, and because legacy decks are so efficient, you can strip back resources and go into top deck wars, but your opponent's going to top deck pretty well because they're going to have a bunch of cantrips, a lot of their creatures are only going to cost 1 or 2 mana anyway, and then all of a sudden it can slip away. So we're going to have stuff that can actually finish it off, and the Poxwalkers, as a 3/1 Death Touch, is actually a pretty annoying thing for a lot of people to get through. So hopefully this will keep our opponent at bay at times, or be able to attack into them nicely. We have a one-off Castle Locthwain that we can draw some cards with as well. So lots of stuff going on here. We've got a sideboard that is pretty hateful. We got 4 Leyline in the Void. We have 3 Null Rods because we're just going to say no to artifact decks that way. A couple of Cursed Totems, which is an interesting one. So things like Nadu and stuff that can snowball out of control, or decks with a bunch of mana dorks can be kind of annoying because they can kind of get around our Wastelands and stuff a little bit by having mana dorks. And obviously, you know, if you get to Smallpox, take a land and a mana dork, it feels great. But I don't mind having these Cursed Totems. I think they're going to be really useful. We've got ourselves a couple of Toxic Deluge to kill some creatures, some Sheoldred's Edicts to kill some creatures and Planeswalkers, and a one-off Chains of Mephistopheles. Now, this is a weird one. It's an old one. Basically, what happens is if anyone would draw a card that isn't like the first one they draw in their first draw step each turn, whatever, they get to loot instead of just drawing the card. So they don't get the card advantage. And if they can't discard a card, then they mill. So it kind of just shuts off things like Brainstorm and cantrips and makes those a lot worse. But it's a fun one, and we enjoy playing Pox on the channel, and Chains of Mephistopheles feels like a nice fit for this sort of archetype. Alright, quite a long deck tech there, but we're ready to go. So like and subscribe, and let's just get some Poxwalkers out in our Pox deck. We are maxing our Poxes today. Well, not quite. We haven't got 4 Poxes because I don't think we can do that without Dark Ritual. Anyway, let's Pox some people. For free, fast, and secure worldwide shipping on high-end singles, classic products, and full sets, check out 3for1 Trading. Whether it's the legacy or pre-modern that I play on this channel, or even vintage and old school, they've got you covered. Find them through the link in the description of this video and use my code COWFREE for free worldwide shipping on your first order over $500 or euros. We are on the play for round 1. We have a bit of a weird hand. We're going to need to find some black mana. We have a lot of it in our deck. Am I okay just smashing out some Skyclave Shades? I don't think so. I think we should mulligan. Alright, I like this one a lot more. Keep this. This is going to be something that we can pitch in a bit. We probably don't need double Thoughtseize. Our opponent plays a varying selection of things, but tends more towards tempo decks, if I remember rightly, and they're a pretty good magician, so we'll see how we do. I don't really want to get Thoughtseize here. I'm going to take the Thoughtseize. That's my job, not yours, opponent. Flood Strand. I suspect we're going to see a Ponder here. I don't know if they're playing a Reanimator list or if they're playing just like a tempo list. We also don't know if they're playing Grixis. So we want to stick this Ripples of Undeath and find a black source at some point. Did they find what they were looking for? They shuffled off that Ponder. Don't want to get hit by Daze here. The Force of Will is okay because we're stripping resources, because we get 2 cards for this 1 card of ours. Alright, we're just in with the Ripples of Undeath. So we're going to pop our graveyard up here because it's going to be quite an important zone for us this entire league. A Brainstorm. Might be a Chains of Mephistopheles game. Now, I'm not really sure how good Chains of Mephistopheles is in 2025. But it is a very fun and enjoyable card that gives me some good brain chemicals. It really hits that nostalgia vibe for me. So what we're trying to do here is find a land. Find a black mana source. I would like to be able to get our Smallpox running. Okay. They wastelanded us. That is a little bit sad for us. So we draw first and then we get to Ripples. I will get back this swamp, please. I'll play this and I will Cabal Therapy targeting you. I know you have an Orcish Bowmasters over there, so let's get that right out of here. Okay, so I have a lot of counter magic now. But they haven't got any pressure, which is what we're trying to avoid, really. Oh, they found something. They could have another Bowmasters here. We're just going to be pondering. Murktide Regent. That is going to be difficult to answer with the old resources we have right now. Alright, so we will mill. Sorry, we already have milled. What do we win for our troubles? So how big is this? 6. 6 and 6 is 12, plus 3 is 15. So if we take a card here... The problem is we can't take a card and play this Poxwalkers. We need to get this Poxwalkers in. This is a tricky decision here. I'm not really doing anything with my mana because this Smallpox isn't going to resolve. I could put a land into my hand at the cost of 3 life. I don't think I'm doing that though. I think we just have to pass it. We know they have a Daze. So the plan here is to get something like to draw a land and mill over a Bloodghast. The Bloodghast comes back, but then we get to Cabal Therapy out the Force of Will, and then we can resolve the Smallpox. That is the plan here. Right, 6 damages is a lot. But hopefully things will go well for us on this next turn cycle. Right, we didn't draw a land, so that's annoying. And we didn't mill over the thing I wanted either. If we pay 3 life, we die next turn, so we can't do that. We do get to cast a Cabal Therapy here, though. I will pay for this Daze. You got another Daze? I do have another Daze. Okay, we're still on the mill over a Bloodghast, and then we're okay. We are over a quarter of the way through our deck, so we're statistically odds on to hit one at this point after you've seen this many cards. But it's going to be tight. We found the land. This is going to middle. Are we there? Are we going to do it? We didn't do it. Okay. So what is the plan here? There's no Bloodghast. If we play out the Smallpox, it's definitely just going to get eaten by a force. But we have to do that. Otherwise we die. We can't do anything with our Poxwalkers here because their creature flies. So maybe they don't have a blue card? Seems very unlikely. Yep, and that will be us dead. So the amount of cards they've shown us makes me think they are just doing blue-black without a reanimator package. Murktide and the Bowmasters quite a lot. So, Chains of Mephistopheles. I would like you. Quite like Sheoldred's Edict as an option just to kill some of these bigger creatures. What is useful here? We don't need multiple copies of Ripples of Undeath. I think we can trim on that one a little bit. Smallpox obviously great. Thoughtseize is kind of essential to how we operate really. We need to make sure that we can pave the way for like the Smallpoxes and things. The Rotten Reunion is fine here, but this isn't really a matchup where it shines, so let's try and take some of those out. And then we have one more cut. Is it Pox? Because that's like a 3-drop that might be difficult to cast. Or is it just like a random guy, like a Bloodghast or something? Alright, let's try like this. Obviously, we're on a bit of a spicy one today, so we didn't have like tried and tested sideboarding metrics for what our deck looks like. I do like this Ripples of Undeath. I'm going to keep this. Right, I'm going to fire off a Cabal Therapy. Am I going to name Brainstorm or am I going to name Daze here? I think I want to name Daze. I don't want to get blown out by that next turn. Okay, they are on the reanimate plan. Okay, I guess I wish I did keep my Graveyard Hate in. Cool. I think the blue-black reanimated deck now is arguably better because you don't even know you're playing against a blue-black reanimated deck. It just happens and then you die. So there's no point trying to Wasteland them because they can just do everything anyway. Oh, this deck is too good. What are we supposed to do? Obviously, we're supposed to know we're playing against Reanimator and be able to board in sideboard cards. Bring back Troll of Khazad-dûm. At least you know you're playing against Reanimator then. Alright, here comes the Entomb. Are they just going to snap it off straight away? Probably. Now, Attractor is something that we can beat. Okay. Makes it a little bit bigger to make our life a little easier. Thoughtseize, Animate Dead, Barragoyf. Island. Thoughtseize, Animate Dead, Barragoyf Island. So we're going to get Thoughtseized here. Sheoldred's Edict makes sense. We don't have the mana to cast a Liliana yet, but it's certainly possible that we get there. We don't know what the mystery card our opponent has since we cast the Cabal Ritual. We get rid of the Ponder. Sorry, not Cabal Ritual, Cabal Therapy. Okay, we drew a Liliana. I guess we say no to this. I will play the Mishra's Factory. I will cast the Skyclave Shade. What am I worried about in our opponent's hand? Barragoyf and Bowmasters are both pretty annoying. Take them off one land. And then we can take them off of the Bowmasters. We're just trying to pave the way for Liliana to work. Well, we hit 2 Bowmasters. That's something. Something going our way. Now, they can animate dead that Bowmasters. But at least it's only a 0-1 then. And they're using an animate dead on that instead of something big and scary. Okay, so that's going to make this Liliana a difficult proposition. But now this is gone, we don't have to worry about pinging down our Poxwalkers. We obviously have some concerns going on here, though. Do I want to swamp here? Kind of do. 3 life is a lot, though. We kind of already checked some of the things our opponent's doing with our factory. So we can block these. I'm not going to bring this back. I want to be able to Sheoldred's Edict or factory. Now they have a Wasteland there, which is even more important why we had the mana. Right, I'm going to attack with just the Atraxa. They're not going to sacrifice this to Sheoldred's Edict. Flooded Strand instead of the Wasteland. If we kill... Oh, jeez. I don't think we're winning this one. Let's just skip it up. Yeah, like we didn't know they were a reanimated deck, and then they just blew us out because they're a reanimated deck, and we didn't really get to play much Magic there. Such is the nature of this deck. I thought with the Bowmaster and the Murktide, we didn't see any reanimation cards, even though we saw quite a few of their cards. Alright, I think the blue-black reanimated deck might be the best deck still. Okay, on to round 2. I guess we're going to see what the aggro plan looks like, shall we? We'll keep this. I'm very partial to a Bloodghast. Probably too partial for my own good at this point. Alright, let's Thoughtseize our opponent. Alright, another one of these people, eh? Let's see. This is definitely the tempo build. Or it could even be Grixis because of Drown in the Lock is a bit unusual. So do I want to get Thoughtseized? I don't care if they Thoughtseize us, so we don't hit that. Do I care about Bowmasters? Yes, quite a lot. A 4-drop is quite expensive, so I think we're just taking the Bowmasters here. Bowmasters being 2 bodies is so annoying for us. So they're going to Thoughtseize us and put one of our cards in the graveyard. It doesn't really matter which one they put in the graveyard either. The Poxwalkers is harder for us to recur than the Bloodghast, so I'll probably take the Poxwalkers. But I'll just take the free 2 damage and be on my way. And I will be Wastelanding our opponent this turn anyway. They have 1 mystery card. At present, they're not showing us any coloured mana sources. Okay, they did have a coloured mana source. Am I Thoughtseizing right now, or am I just Bloodghasting? Honestly, I think we're just Bloodghasting this turn. We'll let our opponent do some brainstorming, and then we'll Thoughtseize them afterwards. Wait till they fix their hand, and then we break it again, instead of just giving them away to protect the good cards. Okay, I found another colour source. They got a Tamiyo. Sure, they can't brainstorm right now because they don't have the right coloured mana. Maybe we can do something about this. Rotting Reunion. Okay, I'm going to Thoughtseize my opponent first. I'm going to take your Brainstorm. I think that's the correct choice there. And we're going to play an Urborg. That's fine. Then we're going to attack. Let's see if our opponent takes 2 or tries to soak the damage here. Alright, they're just going to soak the damage. So we can Rotten Reunion and get back our Poxwalkers next turn. There is a Wasteland. They're going to probably put in the Kaito. But we can attack the Kaito down relatively effectively. Are they going to tap our guy down? That doesn't seem amazing. Right, just going to Surveil. And then we get to kill the Kaito because we're going to have a Rotten Reunion. We should probably Rotten Reunion in response to this in case they find a Force. Fatal Push, okay. I'm going to get rid of... I think it's just the Orcish Bowmasters here. So we get to kill the Kaito here. I'm not going to deploy lands because we have a landfall creature and we don't have anything above a 3-drop anyway. So we can fire off this Rotten Reunion and get back our Poxwalkers. You draw that clue. A Tamiyo. Sure. Let's flash this back. Let's get rid of Fatal Push is fine. So this will bring back our Poxwalkers. A Cabal Therapy. So we know one of the cards in their hand here. So let's just nail that one straight away. Drown in the Lock, please. Oh, they had 2 of them as well. Do I want to attack with my Decayed token? I think... Or do I want to save it for any Kaito shenanigans? Well, like, we're going to nail the Kaito with the thing in a second anyway. I'm going to leave the zombie back. I'll probably just soak up 2 damage here. That's fine. Right, then we will Cabal Therapy our opponent. So we sack the Poxwalkers and the Poxwalkers comes back immediately. Then we name Kaito. Bane of Nightmares. So our opponent is left with just Tamiyo and Brazen Borrower now. I'm still not playing a land out. Our opponent's probably going to be doing like Tamiyo, clue cracking type stuff this turn. Right, they drew a land for turn. Do you want to hold back? They do not want to hold back. Okay, so this means that we can attack with the Decayed Zombie. Right, we're going to attack when we can guarantee that we're going to get damage off of it. So they could find a cantrip or something here that flips a Tamiyo. And then they can play the other Tamiyo. Mishra's Factory is excellent. I will gladly take that one. An Orcish Bowmaster, as you say. Sure, that is annoying. Block the Bloodghast. That doesn't seem an amazing option, but I guess they can do that if they want. Right, so we get back the Bloodghast. We don't have a way of getting back the Poxwalkers now. But we have the biggest creature on board. This is a 3/3 on blocks because it can pump itself. But the clues they are accruing are getting a little out of hand. Drawing that Bowmaster was very annoying for us. Pox. Pox is certainly a cool card. So a third rounded up. So that'll be half. So I'll lose one creature. I think we attack with just the Bloodghast. You put more cards into your hand. I'm taking the damage. Okay. What about Pox? So they lose 2 lands here. A Brainstorm, sure. This is going to flip the Tamiyo. This will mean the Bowmasters will die. Doesn't mean we have to deal with a Tamiyo. Another Bowmasters. Okay, they should ping our face here. They correctly do that. Now I can just sacrifice the army. I'll discard a swamp. I'll sacrifice my Bloodghast. What do they discard? Blue Delta. I'll sacrifice 2 lands. 2 is a lot, isn't it? I'm going to keep a basic, I think. So I keep these 2. No, let's just go big here. I could use this. Well, we use this to get back the Bloodghast. Then I could use this to kill the Bowmasters right now. Is that even worth doing is the question. I don't think it is. Because then they can just wasteland us off of black mana entirely. I think we are struggling somewhat over here. Bloodghast can't block, so they're free getting in the bits. They can wasteland our Mishra's Factory. Ripples of Undeath. That's certainly a worthwhile thing to cast. Let's activate this factory and see if they wasteland in response. They did not wasteland in response. So they're going to wasteland in our combat step though. But we can try and get the wasteland out. Okay, so this taps for black now. This taps for black. Let's get the ripples in. If they've got the Brazen Borrower, they can flash it in and put us to 1 next turn. I'm just going to bounce. Okay, I think this is a mistake on our opponent's part. I think you just play the Brazen Borrower there. I can attack them for 1, or I can attack the Tamiyo so that if it draws a card from their graveyard, it will die. I think that is worth doing here. We're on some pretty slim margins here. Probably wondering why we activated this. It was definitely to try and see if we could bait out the Wasteland. Why are one mana Planeswalkers a good thing? They should all be like really janky, like Tibalt. So now they cast this and we die, right? We drew these cards the wrong way around. Poxwalkers comes back tapped. These can't block. I guess we have the Cabal Pit, which can answer the Brazen Borrower. Going to be a weirdly tight game. Let's get this Brazen Borrower out of here. Short, Tamiyo going upstairs again. Don't know if this game is going to last long enough. Short will take 2. So we can use this to blank a Tamiyo thing, but they didn't target anything with it. It doesn't really matter what we take here, does it? This is just to get our Poxwalkers back. Although we can't get it back until we flash it back. And it comes back untapped. We have 2 damage here, which is not enough. And they're not going to tap that Wasteland. Smallpox, you say? We're so close. We're so close here. But we had to kill the Borrower. I was hoping they would go for the Wasteland at end step so we could just Rotting Reunion twice and get the Poxwalkers back. I don't think we can win this one now. Maybe they make a mistake around the Rotten Reunion, thinking that it's... around the Poxwalkers, thinking it comes in untapped. But then they're still going to attack with their things, aren't they? Oh, I just had another borrower anyway. Sure. Okay, tough. Let's go to the sideboard. Let's get chains in. I think we want some Toxic Deluge, maybe? We didn't board that in last time, but our opponent didn't have as many creatures as this time around. What do we want here? This isn't really a Rotten Reunion matchup. So maybe we're going to trim on some, like, Poxwalker-y type stuff. Maybe one of the Ripples goes. How likely are we to actually cast this Pox? Not that likely, I guess. Against their deck. Alright, let's trim down some stuff and be a bit boring about it. Now, if they turn into a reanimated deck, I'd be very surprised, because we've already seen Kaite. Okay. I'll keep this. There's some cards I like here. Poxwalkers can be a removal spell. Probably just dies to Orcish Bowmasters, though. Let's fire in the Thoughtseize. Bowmasters, bane of my life. Get out of here. Yes, we have a Toxic Deluge. But I think we're better off just making sure that they don't have any threats. Then we can start grinding through them a little bit. There's no Wasteland over there. I'm going to play a threat that we can start attacking with if we wish. Well, they're brainstorming our end steps. They're trying to set up something for turn 2. Drown the Lock currently destroy target creature with mana value less. So the Drown the Lock will always be able to kill our factory. Thoughtseize, is that better than Poxwalkers here? I'm not sure it is. I'm just going to slam the Poxwalkers. And then we can try and Thoughtseize and feed through the Crucible, and then we don't care if they kill our Mishra's factory. And it also sets up a Wasteland lock down the line. Obviously, they're probably just drawing another Bowmaster and just kill our guy. They did not just draw another Bowmaster and kill our guy. That's good news. So now our opponents use both their Brainstorm. Our Thoughtseize can actually take something from their hand, rather than just having mystery cards moved around and protected on top of their library. Right, they're doing okay for mana over there. A Barrogoyf. Well, our creature has Death Touch, so that's something. Okay, let's Thoughtseize our opponent. Fatal Push, Drown in the Lock. Another Barrogoyf, you say? I guess we take the Drown in the Lock here. Or do I take the Tamiyo? Because the Tamiyo is such a pain in our lives. I think I'll take the Drown in the Lock. So we can actually resolve our answers to our opponent's things. So I want to play out this Crucible now we know it resolves. Because this Crucible is hard for our opponent to deal with. And it also means they're way less likely to use this Wasteland. And what they're instead going to do is deploy Tamiyo and a Barrogoyf. Maybe they don't swing this turn and they Fatal Push next turn. And if they do deploy 2 creatures, we sweep them all up with Toxic Deluge and then we're laughing. That's the plan anyway. But they might just want to Fatal Push our Poxwalkers and get in, which is fine. And they'll probably just play another Barrogoyf, and then we're going to have to deal with a Tamiyo somehow later on. Right, so they are going for the Wasteland Barrogoyf line, I think. Yep, there's a Fatal Push. Oh, no, they can't do the Barrogoyf line here, can they? So they're going to play a Barrogoyf out next turn. So I guess we just play the Poxwalkers. They get to draw a card out of their graveyard. Sure, Orcish Bowmasters, why not? Yikes. This is pretty miserable. We're getting ruined. Now, we knew that going in, our deck was not going to be the strongest thing. Okay, let's choose Brazen Borrower. They're going to bounce our Crucible. I'm just going to play a Murktide, just a straight up Murktide. Okay, so we now have to talk to Deluge for 8 here, I believe. And play our land first. I'm not a fan of having to do this, but it is something we have to do. So here comes Barrogoyf. Yep. So then we Smallpox here, I think, is the way. So get rid of the Poxwalkers. Get rid of a Swamp. Okay, just got a Tamiyo. Does that mean they have another Tamiyo? Yes, getting some damage in. Get below 20 life, opponent. We have an answer for a Planeswalker. Or just a big monster. A Tamiyo. Thanks, I hate it. Are you going to Brainstorm straight away? They're just going to Petty Theft our Crucible. That's fine. So we can kill this, but the Brazen Borrower does kill us. So there's some problems that we are facing right now. How likely are we to beat this anyway? Like, we could kill this and then try and draw a removal spell next turn for this. Or we could just let this hit us and just have the removal spell for this, but the removal spell for this doesn't work whilst this is in play. So I think we just have to kill some creatures here. So I'm just going to play this Borrower, and we conveniently have 3 life. We do have Cabal Pit to draw as well. That works. Hive of the Eye Tyrant. That is not the one we wanted right now. Alright. We will deploy this, and our opponent will deploy their Borrower, and then we will lose the game. These blue-black decks are just very hyper-efficient, and they have lots of stuff that is specifically good against us as well. So like the Tamiyo plan and the Bowmaster plan are both really irritating permanents for us to try and beat. Okay, let's try and play against a non-blue-black deck. Let's go to round 3. For the best Eternal experience this summer, check out Eternal Mania in Hasselt, Belgium from August 8th to 10th. Aside from hosting the European Legacy Masters, they have a whole host of other tournaments from team trios to old school and pre-modern. I will be there playing Legacy and hanging out as a special guest. This will also be the first event that I'll be giving out my own special Marit Lage tokens, so why not come down to enjoy an awesome weekend run by one of the best TOs in Europe. Alright, always be smallpoxing, I guess. Man's to live life by. Right, they're going to give us some information so our Cabal Therapy can get to work. A Shuko. Okay, well, I think we all know what my Cabal Therapy is naming. I do like to see the Wasteland there. Cabal Therapy, I would like to name Sephir Illusionist, please. They did not have one. Okay, that hand doesn't look great. So we're either going to be smallpoxing or... yeah, I think it's smallpoxing or wastelanding here. We do have this Rot of Reunion, which is good against their Sephir Illusionist combo. When they target with the Dread Return, we can then just boop it out of the way. That's a non-basic land. That's some guy. Some guy holding a Shuko. Let's crunch through their hand a bit, shall we? Give him an opportunity to sacrifice this island. Force of Will pitching Brainstorm. Wowzers, trousers. Sure. Am I dead to Nadu this turn? So we can get the Ripples down and wasteland our opponent. So these back-to-back wastelands can keep our opponent off 3 mana. That is the plan here, at least. But there is also the threat there. Any moment they can just draw the thing that kills us immediately. There's a Saga. Well, I'm glad I have a wasteland in hand still. Do I want any of these things? Okay, I will deploy this wasteland. I'll get back my Bloodghast. I will Cabal Therapy my opponent here. What would they have that they wouldn't cast in this situation? Swords to Plowshares, maybe? Force of Will. Okay. I will waste down my opponent's Saga. And I will Cabal Therapy away this Force of Will. And we can hold this Rotten Reunion in case something like a Sephir Illusionist jumps down this turn. They do have the mana for Nadu, which doesn't fill me with joy. Ah, they immediately drew the Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Right, Ripples, where are you going to find me? Nothing I care about. Sure. I will deploy this Wasteland. I'll get back my Bloodghasts. I'll wasteland my opponent's White Source. A Ponder, sure. So we have the option to Cabal Therapy ourselves. That doesn't seem great. There's a way we can get the Poxwalkers into the graveyard, but we could also just, you know, cast the Poxwalkers next turn. They're going to attack here, or are they back on blocks? Right, we're trading some damages. I don't think I'm trying to push damage with this Rotten Reunion. Alright. What are you going to find us? Ripples of Undeath. A Pox. That takes away one of our opponent's lands and their only creature. We could also just get this Crucible of Worlds out. I would like the Crucible. Of course I would. Right, so our Bloodghasts are going to be hasty relatively soon. Am I getting Nardude? I hope not. Delighted Halfling. Sure. Feels like I probably might have a Nadu at this stage of the game. Keep him back on blocks here. Do I want any of these? How many Cabal Therapies do we have in the graveyard right now? Just the one. There's only one card I'm really scared that they can have, though. So I'll say no to this one. We will... They can trade off both the guys, we can bring them back. So, incoming team. Yeah, you take that trade. Okay, I suppose it's not a trade, is it? Because they get to ping it to the halfling. Of course, the flavor text of this card coming in handy. I'm going to deploy... do I want to play around with days? I think so. Liliana. Get that last card out of your hand. It was the Nadu, which is the card I would have named with the Cabal Therapy anyway. Because that is the thing that is the scariest right now. But the Crucible means we can always just proc these Bloodghasts. Oh, did you really draw a Nadu off the top? Okay, Plague on. I can live with this. This draws them 2 cards because they've equipped their Shuko. So we can strip our opponent's hand pretty easily with Liliana anyway. A 0-3 is relatively handy for them. They can kind of blunt our wall of stuff. I don't want a Smallpox. Yes, I do. So we can attack with these, but it doesn't really help. We haven't played a land yet. Okay, I think I'm going to Smallpox first. Our creatures have haste, so when we play the Cabal Pit, we'll bring back a Bloodghast with haste. I'll discard my Rotten Reunion. That can bring back our Poxwalkers. Alright, feels like our deck is starting to do the thing now, and we're not just against like hyper-aggressive, hyper-efficient blue-black. Good stuff. Alright. So we discard this card. We sacrifice this creature. What are they going to lose? I will lose one of my tap swamps. There's an argument to lose the Urborg, so they can't tap a fetch land for mana. I will pour a land, get back a Bloodghast. I think I'm going to make you sacrifice a creature here. Alright, they've had enough of our nonsense. Beautiful. Okay, this feels more like it. Cursed Totem. That's a thing I'm playing for matchups that look like this, isn't it? Leyline the Void has text. Null Rod even has text too. Chains has text. All these have text. Lots of things that are useful. Rotten Reunion is okay. It's very okay. What do I think we can trim on some of these things. Maybe we'll go down on Poxwalkers. I know the whole thing was we're trying to play Poxwalkers today. We do also want to try and win some games along the way. The Ripples is pretty good. Helps us find the specific interaction. We do need specific interaction because our opponent's a combo deck. Maybe we'll trim on just some of these like pieces. Pox can do some real work here. Their mana base is something that we can really attack as well. How many cards have we made room for? 3. That's not many, is it? I think that's 2 Toxic Deluge are 3 drops though. Maybe we want 2 Cursed Totems here. Do we just upgrade the Rotten Reunions? We could just take out the Poxwalkers altogether. That gets us some Leylines. I would quite like a Chains, but Nadu gets around Chains, so maybe it's not that good. I'd like these Toxic Deluges, but where do we fit them in? Quite like these 2 back in if possible, but I don't know how we're supposed to do that. Liliana is good. Maybe Pox is too slow. We just have to have the Deluge instead. If I want those in, maybe it's the Rotten Reunions that go. We just get a little bit more beef in so we can also use our therapies. Alright, we'll try this. Now the problem is if we play Cursed Totem and our opponent just happens to have the other one, then that sucks. But it shuts off Delight Halfling, it shuts off... Like they showed us a basic forest as well, so probably the Nadu mid-range build, so they might even have some other creatures that we can interact with. Smallpox, yes please. Ripples of Undeath, yes please. This hand is my sort of jam. Grafdigger's Cage, sure. What if you didn't have any lands, opponent? How about that? How would that make you feel? A Ponder, sure. Would like to draw another Wasteland. Thoughtseize is a very serviceable card here. Let's go. Containment Priest and Nardu Winged Wisdom. Obviously we take the Nardu here. I wonder if they just play out the Containment Priest like a sorcery speed. Probably not. Got a lot of lands there. I think I'm just going to go for a Ripples here. So we can Ripples and Smallpox next turn. So they're going to flash this in and just start beating down, which is fine. Our Cabal Pit will be online very soon, but we're also going to Smallpox this creature away. But we could be in a situation where we get to Cabal Pit this, and then Smallpox something else away. Plagon, Lord of Beach. I can strip out both of these creatures. I guess a lot of it depends on what the Ripples peels over. Do I want a Smallpox here? Yes, I do want a Smallpox. Kind of on the Wasteland as well, but Smallpox is going to hit more of our opponent's resources. So I'll play this one out. We'll cast a Smallpox. I'm going to get rid of Toxic Deluge, I think. Since our Bloodghast can't come back because of the cage. Rest in peace. Okay. So the Ripples of Undeath still works because you put one of the cards from the 3 cards. It doesn't say from your graveyard, it says of the cards that you milled. So we can still use this to find stuff. We do have to open our Exile tab instead now. Would I like a Bloodghast or a Liliana here? No, I don't think I would. Okay, I think we go for Urborg into Smallpox here. I'll get rid of this Thoughtseize since our opponent's going to be out of cards. I'll sacrifice the Urborg so our opponent can't tap fetch lands. And then we are looking to Bloodghast our way to victory. We've got an answer for the next... Actually, no, this is never an answer for a creature, is it? Because our opponent's never going to have... Yeah, we shouldn't have sacrificed the Urborg, actually, thinking about it. Because this can hurt us now. Skyclave Shade. Is Skyclave Shade good enough? It beats pretty hard. Sure. Alright, let's just try and get this game won. We only get to draw one more card with this Ripples of Undeath. Our opponent's kind of floundering with nothing over there. Would love to draw a Wasteland. So another card that works the same way as Ripples is Garuda, where it doesn't care where the cards are going, it just cares that you're selecting from among the cards that have been moved around. Our opponent's Rest in Peace means that they can't combo with Cephalid Illusionist. Right, a Plow, that gives us another card that we can take off the Ripples. That's not nothing. But we also have the clock of our own Ripples killing us. Do I want a Liliana? Kinda, yeah. Right, discard the Cabal Pit that I don't want. So we're just going to be like building up this Liliana. So we've got some Edict Sage. If they have any creatures, we can deal with them. If they try and keep cards in hand, that's not going to work either. And then our little friend is going to do some beating down. That's a Nardu. So if we pay 3 life to go and get a Shade, or we can pay 1 life to go and get a Smallpox. Also pay 3 life to get the Smallpox here. How many turns have we got? We've got 10 turns left, that's fine. Discard this. I don't get to activate the Liliana here. We don't have the life to pay anymore, so we are just on the plan. It's pretty funny that we board in Leyline and our opponent boarded in Rest in Peace. If there's a game 3, I think I'm going to board out the Leylines. I guess I'll play this later on, just in case our opponent ends up having to sacrifice their Rest in Peace and Grafdigger's Cage. Grafdigger's Cage doesn't impact the Crucible, but the Rest in Peace obviously does. And there's a Saga. I think I'm going to pop this Liliana now. Okay, so you can have these permanent... Oh, sorry. These permanents or your lands. They're going to keep the lands, and I think that's fine. Look at the lands as expected. We attack. So we had to do it there because we didn't want that Urza Saga making any constructs, because then things go very poorly for us. But now, our graveyard is a real zone. And hopefully we can find some creatures that attack and deal damage out of it. Hive the Eye Tyrant is pretty good. Then I will attack for 2. We should have enough to get over the line here. I'm just going to play a Nadu and ruin my day there. A Brainstorm, sure. We're on some pretty tight margins here with our life. But we've now got them to the point where any Bloodghast we find will have haste. Let's see how many Bloodghasts we've actually got rid of over here. 1 Bloodghast, 1 Skyclave, 2 Skyclave. Okay, so it's like 3 Bloodghast. There's 2 Bloodghasts still in there, I think. That's pretty good. We've got an attack for 4 coming in, so that's not bad. Oh, don't do it to me, opponent. They've done it. Okay. Ripples of Undeath. That's not the one, is it? Oh, we're just dead on this backswing, aren't we? That's so irritating. I thought we were so close then. Okay. Okay, out with the ley lines, in with the edicts, I think. Do I want chains or pox? I didn't really like the chains that much. We're kind of grinding resources to a halt pretty early doors anyway. Let's have another pox in. This hand, it has some issues. We can sweep out a bunch of creatures. Right, I'm going to keep this with the intention of having a game where our opponent plays some mana dorks out and is hoping to use like a nomad style effect to make their guy pop off. And then the Cursed Totem will shut that down. So I'll play some guys out to beat down, then we sweep them all up. That is what I'm hoping for here. We obviously have a lot of disruptive draws in our deck. They didn't shuffle off the Ponder. Right, Smallpox, don't mind one of those for a little bit in the future. Alright, Cursed Totem. No activated abilities for your creatures. Tied Halfling. And a Haywire Mite that can't activate abilities. Cool. Let's Thoughtseize and see what's going on over there before we make any other decisions. Containment Priest, Perilous Snare. Saga is going to be potentially irritating, isn't it? So this is going to be a big reload. I don't really want them to have a big reload. I think we take... This does incentivize them to play more stuff out, but then they're going to be drawing like 2-3 cards for it. I'm going to take this one out, I think. And I'm going to deploy this Mishra's Factory, which stops our opponent from attacking us. And then they probably play the Saga and then flash in the Containment Priest. That'll be my guess here. So the Containment Priest will come in our end step. I think I'm willing to play a land and kind of ride out the Sagas a little here. Yep, so just making a guy. So a Smallpox might force our opponent's hand to make a construct. So then we can Toxic Deluge away. And they'll be left with just one guy. And that's not so bad. They're also not attacking here, which isn't bad either. Okay, this is even better. I would like to Wasteland your Urza Saga, please. Alright, Toxic Deluge for 2, please. Oh, that feels good. That feels really good. Okay, so they got a Perilous Snare, which can take out our Cursed Totem or something like a Liliana. Or just one of our guys that's going to be attacking. I missed on land. Play Castle Locthwain. I'm not going to fire off this Smallpox. I like to nab a creature in it. Because we don't have any more creature removal ready. Another Containment Priest. Sure. They didn't want to trade that for a factory. They can attack with the Containment Priest. Here comes that Brainstorm. Cracking in. Sure. No third land. Smallpox, please. Why are they floating green? Do they have Veil of Summer in their hand? I think we're better off drawing a card than anything else here. Oh, Bloodghast. Okay. So if they had a Veil, they could have just cycled it there for a card. A Ponder. Sure. Oh, they found a land. How lucky of them. Alright. Let's continue the beatdowns until morale improves. I believe Nadu is the sort of thing that they would have in their hand at this point in the game. Now you got the Veil. It is the Veil, sure. Attacks. Like a friend. So we get one more hit in with both of our guys, and then any Bloodghast we have will have haste, which means we can do some interesting Cabal Therapy lines and still attack. We're going to leave the land in hand for landfall purposes. Delighted Halfling. That will die to either of our guys. A Shuko, so we'll now trade with our guys. That's less ideal. Ripples of Undeath. Don't mind if I do. So I will attack with just the Bloodghast, I think, for now. And then I will Cabal Therapy my opponent, sacrificing his Bloodghast. I'm going to name Nardu. Oh, we hit 2 Nardus out of the hand. You love to see it. Let's get this Ripples of Undeath going. Let's play this. Get our Bloodghast back. And we can draw a card here as well. A Wasteland. Beautiful. Come on, surely we have to win this one. It feels so close. But if they just top deck another Nardu, we just immediately lose. Okay, they're going to get rid of our Ripples. That's fine. Alright, you can attack if you wish. That's your 4. I don't know about this Thoughtseize. I could draw a card here and take 2 life. I think that's better than firing off the Thoughtseize immediately. Cabal Therapy, okay. A Brainstorm, sure. Are you still attacking opponent? That is the question. Meticulous Archive, sure. So they got 1 card in hand. Alright, they're coming in. No fear over there. Sheoldred's Edict. I would like to... Am I Thoughtseizing here? We have so many things rolled up here. Can we work out what we're scared of? And then we can Cabal Therapy it away. Nardu is the thing I'm most scared of, to be fair. So just name Nardu again. It's a Ponder. Okay, that's fine. So we can attack here. And then we can hold back our Mishra's Factory. Yep, here comes a Ponder. Would not mind drawing a Wasteland here. They did not shuffle. So we're going to get a string of annoying things that ruin our day or not. They are attacking. I will offer the trade here. Sidecat Cub, sure. I don't want to be mana efficient here. I think I do. Each opponent sacrifice a non-token creature of their choice. A Smallpox, you say. What is the top card of your library, opponent? And there's a Saga. That is not good enough. We get to actually kill our opponent with Smallpox as well. What a victory. Beautiful. Read it and weep. We have to finish resolving Smallpox before they die, but we've got them. We got a match win. That felt actually pretty good. Like, our deck is a little janky, I won't lie. We're doing some weird stuff, but the suppressing our opponent when they're playing a 3-color as a Saga deck felt great. Alright, on to round 4. We're on the board. Whilst I may not play Pauper, I know a lot of you lovely people out there do. So I thought I'd let you know about a great charity Pauper tournament happening in upstate New York on the 21st of June. The tournament is in support of the Trevor Project and Trans Lifeline, so sign up to help a worthy cause and have fun doing it. It's a troubling time for our trans comrades out there, so show them that you've got their back. Click the link in the description of this video for more details. Okay, it's hard to pass up a Smallpox hand. We have the Ripples Undeath as an engine, so I'm going to keep this one. And maybe we get to blow them out with Rotten Reunion if they're trying to do something combo-y on turn 1. Oh, they're mulligan to 5. Maybe this is Rotten Reunion's time to shine. Swamp and pass. Okay. Windswept Heath doesn't really strike me as a combo-y sort of card. Okay. Tropical Island, Glistener Elf. Okay, here we are. So you're telling me I should cast a Smallpox right now. Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm. They've only got 2 cards in hand, but that can be enough to kill us if it's Brainstorm and Invigorate. So they were a combo deck. Berserk and Invigorate kills us. There's Invigorate. Just 5 measly damages. A lot of our creatures have the text can't block, which is not doing us any favours. Alright, let's go to garbage time. It's Smallpox time. They could activate their Yawgmoth Nexus here, but then we would lose both lands. Because you do it in the order of the card. Although it wouldn't matter either way, I guess. Okay, so our opponent is going to lose a lot here. Right, I will get rid of... what am I going to get rid of here? Probably the Poxwalkers. We can frontside the Skyclave. Okay, so they're just going to try and beat us down for 5 turns. which is, you know, a pretty viable strategy here. I do miss not having any, like, Innocent Blood style cards in our deck here. I think we want the Ripples of Undeath. We can play lots of life because our opponent isn't going to affect our life total. They can't invigorate if they've got no lands, so that's something. Alright, Rotten Reunion, help me out here. A Liliana or a Swamp? I think I take the Swamp. And then, because we're just looking for an answer, I'm going to just play out another Ripples of Undeath here. Is that wild? Maybe. So this gives us 7 looks and answer to this next turn. So Smallpox is good. Pendelhaven, oh no. That could be a disaster for us. We can take 2 Infect here. And then we got 7 looks at Smallpox. That's not the one. Alright, there is a Smallpox there. Is there a Cabal Therapy in there? Yeah, there is a Cabal Therapy. So we could take the Wasteland here. So we play this. We get back our Bloodghasts. Then we get to Cabal Therapy our opponent to make sure our Smallpox resolves. Cabal Therapy, sacrificing this. Get some Poxwalkers back. We name Force of Will. We don't have to worry about days. Blighted Agent, Legacy Quick Reflexes. And then into the dirt we go. I will discard this Poxwalkers. Bloodghast can go away, and Swamp can go away. Alright, I think we've done enough to win this one. Alright. That is a beautiful looking board we have right there. Okay, so this is going to be a matchup where we're going to want things like the Sheoldred's Edicts and the Toxic Deluge. Thoughtseize are fine. This is not a reunion matchup, so they can go. The Poxwalkers possibly a little on the slow side here. I know we're supposed to be trying to play into these Poxwalkers, but I don't think our deck is quite as good at playing into Poxwalkers as I would like. I think we're more about getting our Bloodghasts and Shades in. This deals us 1 damage. We have a lot of black sources in our deck. I think I will keep this one. Any black source is excellent. Glistener Elf, sure. We also don't care about our life total very much against our opponent, so... Alright, Thoughtseize. Do me a solid here. An Invigorate is probably the one that goes here. Just make it hard for our opponent to actually kill us. And then we can Sheoldred's Edict next turn. We can hopefully get the Smallpox up and running at some point. Would love to draw a black source. An Urborg would be ideal here. Brainstorm, sure. So they can fix their hand here, maybe get some counter magic in their hand. A little bit of protection. They could also just find Invigorate Berserk and kill us. How many Infect would you like me to take this turn, opponent? Just the 1. Okay, I can live with 1. Another Glistener Elf. Okay, we're getting towards needing Toxic Deluge. Ripples of Undeath. I think we're on a Wasteland Sheoldred's Edict line here. Just get rid of one of these. We want our Smallpox to be absolutely backbreaking when it goes off. We want to be able to like Smallpox and Wasteland and our opponent is just in the dirt. We don't know how many of these they kept. Ponder. So they had to put 1 card back. It could be the Blighted Agent, it could be something else. Embiggen. So this makes it a 5/5. You got Berserk or something? They do have a Berserk, so that's 10 power and we're dead. Alright. I understand, opponent. I think we just run it back. I quite like our deck here. Our opponent is a critical mass deck and we're very good at stopping people from having a critical mass. Cabal Therapy. Ripples of Undeath. Okay, I'll keep this. I'm going to name Glistener Elf, I think. We just want the time to get into this game. Alright, our opponent's got an interesting one there. So they're going to be using the Yawgmoth Nexus. So... Windswept Heath probably into Ponder this turn. So we're going to probably play this Ripples of Undeath into a Daze just because we want to get the Daze out of the hand and it sets our opponent back mana-wise, which means we can get our Liliana in and start chipping away at their hand. Whether or not we'll be able to actually use the Edict effect for value, I don't know. But if we slow this game down, we're more likely to draw our Smallpoxes, our Pox, our Wastelands, and stuff like that. They didn't shuffle. Oakley dokley. Yep, so we are just going to send this Ripples of Undeath straight into their days. I think they will fire it off. No, they didn't. Okay, that's quite disciplined for our opponents. They're worried about Smallpox, which is fair enough. Still not playing out the Nexus is really interesting. Right, let's pop out our graveyard here. We've got Smallpox, we've got a Wasteland. I'm going to put this Wasteland into my hand. We'll see this in play. This is for the Yawgmoth Nexus. Now what they can do is use the Legless as quick reflexes. Triumph of St. Catherine. Okay. So we're going to respond with a Smallpox. Well, not respond, but on our turn we can either Smallpox or we can Liliana. We know 5 of our opponent's 7 cards. Basic Forest. Okay, we know 5 of their 6 cards. I think this is a good spot to get Liliana in. We're probably not taking a card here. I do like the Sheoldred's Edict here, but I think we're just going to get the Liliana in. We can play around the days that we know is in our opponent's hand. Oh, I guess if they have a Veil of Summer as their one card that we don't know, that's pretty annoying. Feels like they're just holding up the quick reflexes here. I will pay for your days. Please don't have a Veil of Summer. Alright, so this goes back into their deck, and we'll have to deal with it again later. Hopefully not the top card of their library, but it is possible. Okay. We didn't stop on their draw step, so there's something. There's Yawgmoth Nexus. Alright, Ripples of Undeath, what are we doing? I'll take this. I could take the Crucible. I don't think we're doing Crucible stuff though. I think the plan here is we plus the Liliana. I'll discard a Bloodghast. Then I will Thoughtseize my opponent here. We can take the Legacy's Quick Reflexes, which turns on our ability to Wasteland the Yawgmoth Nexus. They have double reflexes. Okay. Okay. What does that mean for us? So if we Smallpox this turn, because we haven't played a land yet, they lose one of their lands. And this is until the end of turn. What is the line here? I think we take an Invigorate. And then I will play out a Swamp. Yes, Bloodghast, you can come back. You're about to die anyway, but there we are. Smallpox. I'll discard the Urborg. I'll sacrifice the Swamp. So they can animate this and then give it protection. So we could Wasteland this right now. Then they can't attack with it this turn. Then we drain their hand even more. Because what they do is they activate it itself and then this untaps it. And then they come in for 5. That doesn't seem great actually, does it? This is going to be a real tight one. We need them to not have another pump spell, really. Target creature. Okay. If they've got another pump spell, I think we're just dead. If it's a free pump spell. Coming in at us. And Invigorate. Okay. Do you have a free pump spell on top of this? Another Invigorate. So we hit this and then it still gets big and we die. I don't believe we have any recourse here. Because if we Wasteland this, they just give it quick reflexes. If we Wasteland this, then it doesn't matter, we die. This is 9 poison, right? So we're not actually dead. Okay, so we take 9 poison, and then we can Wasteland this on our opponent's turn when they can't reflexes it. Okay, actually, we're doing all right, weirdly. I don't want any of these cards, no. Okay, I will play this out. Get both of these back. So they can't save this. So we can just hit this right now. There's no way they can activate and pay for their reflexes. And then we don't need to up the Liliana. We can just keep this removal spell in hand. So if they play any creature, we can just kill it, and this doesn't target, so the reflexes won't work. So something like a Triumph of St. Catherine, for example. That's the sort of card that I would like to kill here. Now, we're probably going to have to kill this Triumph of St. Catherine a few times. But if we can take out their Savannah, then they can't cast it again. Alright, Ripples of Undeath, what you got for me? Hive the Eye Tyrant, Bloodghast. I'll take a card here. I'll take the Factory. I'll bring back the Bloodghast. I will go to attacks here. Then I'll play a Liliana that can be on a higher loyalty here. No cards for you, no cards for me, but I've got a bunch of Bloodghast in play. Oh, this is a tight one, but this can answer basically anything they have, so that's nice. Yeah, I'll take a Smallpox here. All right, they're scooping it up. Yeah, so this sort of matchup where our opponent's trying to assemble critical massive stuff, just like the previous one, feels really good because we can grind our opponents so much. I did feel a little bit worried when they were coming in and they were putting us to 9 poison. For a minute, I thought we were going to 10, but I'm so used to 2 pump spells being lethal. But yes, we managed to get there, and we are looking at 2-2 now. So yeah, we can put a nice positive on the league if we can win this last one. Let's see if we can do exactly that. Okay. This hand does contain probably my favourite all-time card. So I guess we keep. I do think this hand is actually alright though. It is a little bit slow on the curve, but I think we can keep it. We've got stuff that we can pitch. We're obviously going to have a bad time against like super fast combo decks, but that's just going to be the nature of playing Pox. If they can go underneath any of your suppression elements, then sure, you got it. Mox Diamond. Alright, this is not going to be a matchup where binning off a load. Okay, so this isn't a good thing to Wasteland or Smallpox into. Green Sun Zenith. X equals 1. So, Reclaimer. Oh dear, oh dear. We have to kill the Reclaimer, but that Smallpox is going to hurt us quite a bit. I hate this. Okay, good night, sweet Smallpox Prince. I think we get rid of the Shade here. We can pick that up later, but they're going to sacrifice their Flagstones. But we have to sacrifice one of our black sources. So lots of things going wrong already. I think this matchup is probably going to be horrible because our opponent has ways of recurring a bunch of stuff from their graveyard with like Life from the Loam and stuff. Which is probably going to end up being better for them than it is for us a lot of the time with Pox. Okay, Caracas. No green mana outside of this Mox. I don't just want to fire off a Wasteland. I'm going to play a Factory. And yes, I will get my little friend back. I want to be able to play the Crucible and then we can start going to town with these Wastelands. We can also get our Swamp back and start casting Smallpoxes. Okay, they've got an end step play. An Orcish Bowmaster, so we're probably looking at like Abzan Depths type thing and they get to ping off our 3-1, so that's not ideal. Bowmaster obviously very good against Liliana and Smallpox. I think basically all the cards in our opponent's deck line up incredibly well into us. So we're going to have a pretty horrible time. Okay, I'm not going to get this guy back. We're just going to play this Crucible and just sort of do nothing on a turn. But this is like big game. Getting back our swamps, having recursive wastelands. These are useful ways that we can play this game. We also have a piece of graveyard hate, so if they have a Life from the Loam, we can shut that right down. Are they going to get Lush Portico or a basic? A Lush Portico. No respect for the wasteland lock. Alright, they binned off a Bajuka Bog. Another Orcish Boatmaster. Understood. So, what are we looking to do here? These tokens don't block, so that's not a thing. We can play this and sack and they'll just lose a 1-1. 3 mana is going to be Knight. Oh, they're just going to immediately play it up before we've got any value. Wow. I am very sad. Thoughtseize doesn't matter. We don't have access to black. Are we taking our opponent's last card here? Is that worth doing? I guess so. We just want to make sure that our... Ooh, quick reflexes. Cool. We just want to make sure that our factory can block and kill one of these. Have we stabilized with the power of Mishra's factory? Maybe we have. That is something. Cabal Therapy. I believe we are just sitting on the factory. If anyone here has played pre-modern, you know what this is like. The amount of times I've been stonewalled by just our opponent having a factory. It's like, oh, so it's a land that's a 3/3 on blocks. It's just too good. If they start attacking, then I get kind of worried. Am I firing this off just to get a guy? What is the point, is the question. I don't think there is one. A Bloodghast. Okay, just sitting on the factory. It won't be long before our opponent draws something that completely breaks this game open. 4 mana. This green sun for the knight. This is going to be a mega lights out. Oof, that's so big. What a massive creature. What are we supposed to do about that? We're done here. Let's go to the sideboard. So, what do I like here? Cursed Totem is pretty good against their guys, actually. Sheoldred's Edict, also pretty good against their guys. Toxic Deluge, pretty good. I don't care about messing up their graveyard. I think the Rotting Reunions is enough of that sort of effect. So, 7 cards is a lot of cards. We aren't super into the Thoughtseizers here. They're going to dump their hand quite quickly, so I think these go. And then we're probably looking at like Poxwalkers trimming. And we're just getting closer to a regular sort of Poxy deck. I think I like the Cabal Therapies more than the Thoughtseize still. But maybe we should swap them round. Okay, we'll keep this. I'd like to Cabal Therapy my opponent. What are we naming here? I think it's Green Sun Zenith. Wasteland. Oh, I nearly named the Mox Diamond. I chickened out. Mox Diamond, pitching Wasteland. Oh, I drew the flagstones as well. What are you doing to me, opponent? Okay, I think I'm just going to jam a Cursed Totem. Yes, our opponent has a Prismatic Ending, but we have another Cursed Totem. So we can kind of just replay this turn again. Alright, drawing a land. Crop rotation, obviously very good here as well. I can crop rotate this flagstones away. Oh, goodbye, Cursed Totem. Should bash for 1 here. There it comes. Cabal Therapy. Am I doing Cabal Therapy things, or is it just Cursed Totem? I can Cabal Therapy away the Bowmasters. I think we just have to... Yeah, I think it's the Cursed Totem again. Smallpox is kind of sketchy for us here. So they got Bowmasters, they got crop rotation. They can turn this into a 3/4 and just beat down with it, and that's pretty reasonable. If they wait on their Bowmasters, then we can actually kill this. Oh no, what is this? Green Sun for 3. Okay. We need to draw a land and a Toxic Deluge, I guess. That seems difficult. Let's get attacked for 1 here. We Smallpox. Oh, but then we lose this to the Wasteland. Oh, that's so bad. This is horrible. I guess we Cabal Therapy. We name Crop Rotation, I think. That leaves them with just the Bowmasters. Then we can play the Urborg. Make them sacrifice a guy. Or we can just get rid of this Bowmasters. And then our Edict effects are pretty clean, aren't they? Okay. Let's Cabal Therapy you. Get rid of the Bowmasters. Okay, so we can answer the things that are in play. It's not pretty, though. Hardcast Endurance. That is just more guys. If they Wasteland me, we can't Toxic Deluge. Oh, they're Wastelanding their own flagstones. They just want to bring the beef here. Alright, Toxic Deluge. If we find you, we're okay. Are they going to mill over another land? They are. Okay, so this is 9 damage. So we are dead next turn. We have 1 turn to draw Toxic Deluge. I believe in you, deck. Oh, I should never have believed in you. What is the best we can do? They lose a 3 power guy, then they kill us with these guys. Yeah, that matchup looks absolutely impossible. Yikes. Okay, we finished with a respectable 2-3, I would say. Like, Pox is not a great deck. Like, Pox is generally a 2-3 deck most of the time anyway. But we are playing a pretty wild build that is definitely far from being optimal. So I'm pretty happy with the 2-3. And be honest, the two rounds we won looked very comfortable for us. I thought, you know, we absolutely ruined them. So I'll take that. So what do I think about this build? I think the takeaway, to be honest, is that the Poxwalkers wasn't that good. But the Ripples of Undeath was pretty solid here. This gave us the sort of selection we're missing. But what I will say is 3 life in any sort of tempo matchup is huge. Like, sure, against the Infect deck that isn't pressuring your life total, you can just pay 3 life whenever you want. But against other decks, this feels like a bit of a liability sometimes. So there is that. But, you know, we're putting a bunch of stuff in our graveyard that was fine. Like, I like just having Bloodghast and stuff to do here. I've always been a big lover of Bloodghast. It's probably my favourite creature. It's right up there. I do love this because creature tokens like Marilage don't count mainly. But yeah, I really like Bloodghast. It felt pretty good here being able to get this thing back and then play some stuff up. Generally, I prefer playing like Lone Pox, but I think Monoblack Pox is probably where I want to be experimenting more. Like, we could have had some like Dark Ritual action here. We could lean more into the Poxwalkers. You could play a more heavy graveyard-oriented deck. I think that would be an interesting way to go, but can you still be a Pox deck in doing that? I don't know. But I think, you know, there was some okay stuff going on here. I didn't miss having Urza's Saga, which is unusual, because normally Urza's Saga is a really weird one to play in Pox, because you're like, okay, it gives us a bunch of creatures, it gets us over the line, it's uncounterable, we can get it back with Crucible sometimes, it can find us like some nice hate pieces like, you know, a Grafdigger's Cage or a Pith Needle or whatever we want, you know. It can also get us a Shadow Spear, and when we're losing a bunch of life, that can be really useful. So there's like a bunch of stuff that the Urza's Saga does. What it doesn't do very well when I've played Pox is when you're Poxing, Urza's Saga is A, not helping you cast Pox, and B, when you've been casting Pox, you tend not to have enough mana to activate it, whereas Mishra's Factory is just like, yep, send me in, I'm okay. We could have played something like a Mutavault, which is kind of like additional copies of Mishra's Factory, which is an interesting idea because it's cheaper to activate. Like, Hive of the Eye Tyrant, very expensive. We're not really activating this, but it does tap for black. And, you know, there are games where we could have activated this, actually. We had one game where, if we had another turn, we would have activated this. And Exile Cast from Graveyard is relevant. So, I do like the 4 Factory. I'm tried and true 4 Factory, like good old-fashioned Pox should be. And I think I prefer this to the Urza's Saga. We could play some like Delve threats to make use of Ripples. Maybe it's like Ripples plus Delve is where we want to be instead of playing Poxwalkers. And the Skyclave Shade, we can just bin off these things and the Rotting Reunions. That gets us another 8 cards to play with so we can have some Delve stuff. I did miss having access to the Hymn to Turex because it's just a really efficient way of slapping your opponent down cards-wise, right? Like, you're trying to drain like 2, sometimes 3 cards with a Smallpox. A Hymn to Turex on top of that. That's 2 cards you spent, and your opponent is now down 5 cards. Now, obviously, we're down some cards too, but that's our problem. So I think there's definitely something here, you know, with like Bloodghast and Ripples of Undeath maybe. But I haven't quite worked out where it is. If you've got any sweet Pox deck lists, please send them in the description. I love playing Pox. And like I said, I've got a donor who likes to see Pox every month. They basically just said, play Pox every month until I say something different. So that's what we're doing. And we're trying all sorts of weird and wonderful builds, and I hope you're enjoying it. Sideboard-wise, I thought the Cursed Totem was pretty cool. It looked alright. It definitely did some things. Obviously, we just got beaten down by creatures with activated abilities in that last game, but I think this is the sort of thing you want for that, but that is always going to be a difficult one. But imagine if we'd have named a Mox Diamond with that Cabal Therapy. I really thought about doing it, and that game could have been very different. But yeah, I think the deck is fine for what it is, but there's a lot of improvements that can be made. If you've got a list that goes more into Poxwalkers, let me know. If you've got a list that just abandons it and just goes into like Ripples of Undeath, let me know. Lots of options. That's why I quite like playing Pox. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.